right, we're back. Bonding, the foundation of boundary building. Wendy couldn't understand it. Something wasn't gelling. All those codependency books she'd read, all those online assertiveness tutorials she'd watched, all that self-talk she'd rehearsed about being more confrontive. And yet, every time she talked to her mother on the phone, all the advice, all the self-help techniques melted away into vague, cloudy memories. A typical conversation about Wendy's children would always conclude with her mom's analysis of Wendy's imperfect parenting style. "I've been a mother longer than you," she would say. "Just do it my way." Wendy resented her advice. It wasn't that she wasn't open to the guidance. Lord knows she could use it. It was just that her mom thought her way was the only way. Wendy wanted a new relationship with her mom. She wanted to be honest about her mom's control, her polite put-downs, and her inflexibility. Wendy wanted an adult-to-adult friendship with her mom. But the words wouldn't pass her lips. She'd write out what she wanted to say, explaining her feelings. She'd rehearse before telephoning, yet when the time came, she panicked and remained silent. She well knew how to be compliant, appreciative, and childlike with her mom. It was only later, when she became angry, that she knew she'd been taken to task again. She was beginning to give up hope that things would ever change. Wendy's struggle illustrates a basic need that we all have in boundary building. No matter how much you talk to yourself, read, study, or practice, you can't develop or set boundaries apart from supportive relationships with God and others. Don't even try to start setting limits until you've entered into deep, abiding attachments with people who will love you no matter what. Our deepest need is to belong, to be in a relationship, to have a spiritual and emotional home. The very nature of God is to be in relationship. God is love. Love means relationship, the caring, committed connection of one individual to another. Like God, our most central need is to be connected. When God said that even in his perfect new universe, it wasn't good for man to be alone, he wasn't talking about marriage, he was talking about relationship, other people outside ourselves to bond with, trust, and go to for support. We are built for relationship. Attachment is the foundation of the soul's existence. When this foundation is cracked or faulty, boundaries become impossible to develop. Why? Because when we lack relationship, we have nowhere to go in a conflict. When we are not secure that we are loved, we are forced to choose between two bad options. We set limits and risk losing a relationship. This was Wendy's fear. She was afraid her mother would reject her and she would be isolated and alone. She still needed mom's connection to feel secure. Or number two, we don't set limits and remain a prisoner to the wishes of another. By not setting limits on her mom, Wendy was a prisoner to her mom's wishes. So the first developmental tasks of infants is to bond with their mom and dad. They need to learn that they are welcome and safe in the world. To bond with baby, mom and dad need to provide a consistent, warm, loving, and predictable emotional environment for him or her. Well, let's underline that, shall we? A predictable emotional environment. Oh dear. I hope he talks about what happens if we don't have that. During this stage, mom's job is to woo the child into entering a relationship with the world via attachment with her. Most often this is mom's job, but dad or a caregiver can do this as well. Bonding takes place when the mother responds to the needs of the child, the needs for closeness, for being held, for food, and for changing. As baby experiences needs and the mother's positive response to those needs, he or she begins to internalize or take in an emotional picture of a loving, constant mother. The emotional picture developed by infants forms from thousands of experiences in the first few months of life. The ultimate goal of mothers being there is a state called emotional object constancy. Object constancy refers to the child's having an internal sense of belonging and safety, even away from the presence of the mother. All those experiences of constant loving pay off in a child's inner sense of security. It has been built in. Love this. Object constancy is referred to in the Bible as being rooted and established in love, and as having been rooted and built up in Christ. It illustrates the principle that God's plan for us is to be loved enough by Him and others not to feel isolated, even when we are alone. Bonding is the prelude. As children learn to feel safe at home with their primary relationships, they are building good foundations to withstand the separateness and conflict that comes with boundary development. New segment coming up, separation and individuation, the construction of a soul.